Hi everybody, thank you so much for being here. How about Holly and Stephanie? They are so great. I'm waiting until you see Nancy and Liz. They have so much energy, and that is where we are different. I'm much more of a low impact performer. My husband always says my voice doesn't carry, that I'm a soft talker. And I say to him, why am I the problem? Did you ever think maybe you're losing your hearing? Like you're losing your hair? Yeah, he's not here tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to have to change that line. But it's true. I've never been a loud talker or a fast talker. I showed my son a set from a recent comedy routine that I did, and he said, "That's comedy? I thought you were doing guided meditation." I am a little worried about that kid. He's 23. He's back home with us, and last week his car was in the shop, so he needed a ride, and I was out running errands. So I said, all right, you know what, I'll come back home and I'll pick you up. So I get there, I send him a text, here, nothing happens. I wait a minute, so I call him, and he's like, hello, as if I'm potential spam. I'm like, hey, I'm here, I'm in the driveway. And he goes, should I come out? I'm like, you know what, no, wait there. I'll pull into the living room. So, as Holly said, I'm a writer, and last week I was working on a story about golden retrievers, because that is the state of journalism in America. Your retirement savings is gone. We're on the brink of World War III. But have you seen this corgi waving? Or how about this cockatoo who screams, "Ah, Godspeed!" as his neighbor leaves for rehab? Because that's the important stuff, right? And that's the work that I'm doing. So I'm reading the story aloud, trying to check it for typos, as you do, and I got to this one sentence about how golden retrievers are really strong swimmers. So my son, same kid, he goes, so do dogs just know how to swim? Or does someone have to teach them? So I say, oh honey, don't you remember when you took those lessons at the YMCA? And there were all those dogs in the locker room. There was that Chihuahua and the really cringy Speedo. There was that St. Bernard who was always crying when he lost his dog. And he's like, and so I said, fool, of course they know how to swim. The doggy paddle? They taught us. So I don't know, speaking of dogs, I don't know if anyone has tried to adopt a pet lately. It is not easy. I mean, I think that Holly is going to have an easier time getting her son into Harvard than I'm going to have welcoming a feral cat into my family. Because some of these questions are like, how many hours will this little kitty be alone? I'm like, as many as she wants. She's a cat. They crave solitude. I feel like cats are a little bit like old married women. They're kind of like, you wanted to touch me? I'm good. I'm happy. I'm just gonna stare at this wall for a while. We're both willing to crawl under the hood of a Buick. Just to get a little peace and quiet. So I've been married almost 25 years, and so I kind of miss the whole dating app thing. But I do think there are probably a lot of similarities between that and Pet Finder, in that you could probably scroll for hours and hours and still find something wrong with every profile. Like here's Bruno. He's a great guy, loyal, protective. Maybe don't leave him alone with your kids. Then there's Rusty. He had a long career in law enforcement, K-9 unit. He's got a little PTSD. If there's a thunderstorm, he's gonna rip your house apart. But he's fine most of the time, as long as he stays on his meds. And medication, that's another thing. I don't know if anyone's watching network television, But I just feel like every commercial now is either about pharmaceuticals or gambling, drugs, or DraftKings. I sit down to watch Jeopardy and eat a Cobb salad, and I find out I'm probably going to lose my vision. I have to give myself eye injections. And I'm just like, wow, what I wouldn't give for an old school douche commercial. I would so much rather see a lady in a white nightgown, on horseback, galloping, fields of lavender, and have to watch this guy scratch his psoriasis while he's flipping burgers in the neighbor's yard. Things were so much easier for me when I only had to worry about that not so fresh feeling. Now I lay awake all night wondering if Latuda is right for me. But I'm waiting for these companies to actually partner and create an app where I can bet on the conditions of friends and family. Like right now, I think the odds are really good that my mom is going to start a family feud by suggesting my niece try Wegovy. Now I can see some of you are stuck on like, why is this lady watching network television? So I'm just going to tell you, I've had to cancel all of my streaming services to pay for my Skyrizi prescription. But health is important, and I know I mentioned the YMCA earlier. I am still a member, but every year we get a little further and further away from what the village people promised me. And here's what I'm talking about. Young man, there's a place you can go. I said, young man, when you're short on your dough. Not so fast, young man. You're going to need $154 a month. That's a lot of dough. In fact, you might need to tap into your crypto and maybe the savings bonds you got as a baby. And that's why I'm up all night writing about golden retrievers. So I can afford that luxury. But I will say it's all worthwhile because when I get to the YMCA, I hop on the treadmill and I play solitaire on the screen that's attached to the machine. And then that way I can gauge my physical and cognitive decline at the same time. And that, my friends, is the magic of multitasking. So as I said, I've been married a really long time, so it's not easy to keep the magic alive at this point. But I did recently bring something new into the bedroom. It's a mouth guard. For my TMJ. And let me tell you, it is working. So, my husband and I, we now do a little modified role playing. He pretends to be a dentist. And I let him put it in. Please. I'm talking about the mouth guard. It's Sunny Scrambled, it's not that kind of show. No, so he pretends to be a dentist, he puts in the mouth guard, and then in lieu of a copay, I don't need him in the balls when he starts snoring. But I will say last week, he did do something that was very attractive. I had gotten a response to an email, and it was very vague and very annoying. And I read it to him, and now before I tell you the next part, I should say that he's usually very calm, and by calm, I mean asleep. So I read him the email, and he immediately starts screaming, "That is not what you asked! They didn't answer your question!" And I was like, oh my God, this is so hot. Like, he's so angry on my behalf. Like, apparently rage is my love language. Who knew? And then he said, we're going to talk more about this after I lie down. And that's a man I know. But I will say, every once in a while, he does pay me a compliment. Like, I got these new eyeglasses, and he was like, you know, when you wear those, you kind of look like a movie star. And I was like, oh, really? Who? And he was like, Garth.